Man, I'm going to blow y'all's minds. You ready to run guns? Time for blast off. Let's go. Hey guys, Todd here with you. Welcome back to Bassin 101. Truck talk of the day. Line diameters. Get your paper and pencil out. I'm not kidding. I have got some info that's going to blow your mind. Now, as far as where to purchase these lines, I'm going to pretty much just go with Walmart. But Bass Pro, Cabela's, Sportsman's, all these different places carry this line, okay? I'm just going to use Walmart as a general deal because you can get both of these lines at Walmart, okay? So, for my basis, I'm going to use Trilene XT because I'm sure a lot of you guys use Trilene XT. I'm sure a lot of y'all do. I've been using it for, gosh, close to 30 years after I left Strand because they changed the formula, I think. It's not the same line. Anyway. The original DuPont Strand and Trilene XT are roughly the same diameter. Now, for my experiment, actually it's not even an experiment, it was just like a eye-opening experience. I'm going to use, in pound tests, in Trilene XT, I'm going to use 6, 8, 10, 12, and 14, because that's about the most popular of all sizes, okay? Don't care if it's green, clear, doesn't matter. Trilene XT is a very tough line, but man, is it usable. Now, let me give you the line diameter of each of these lines. Okay? So get your pencil, write these down because you're gonna learn something here in a minute. 6 pound test is 0.009. 8 pound test is 0.011. 10 is 0.013. 12 is 0.014. And 14 is 0.016. Okay, so you got those down. 9, 11, 13, 14, 16. Okay, so those are the most popular sizes. Now, any of you guys familiar with Trilene Big Game? Now, to me, Big Game is a lot like Trilene XT. It's a very tough line, very durable. It's just as stiff / flexible as XT. However, Big Game is a smaller diameter. A 10 pound test. Now remember, you can get these at Walmart. The most popular sizes, especially guys that I've talked to, there's a lot of guys on this channel who also use Big Game. I ran into guys on the lake that also use Big Game. 10, 12, and 15 is the biggest majority. Okay? A 10 pound test. Hang on here, you're gonna learn something here. 10 pound in Big Game is 0.009. Does that measurement ring a bell? 12 pound is 0.011. 15 pound is 0.013. Think about that for a minute. So, if 10 pound test is a diameter of 6 in XT, why isn't Big Game 6 pound test? Why isn't Trilene XT 10 pound test? You see what I'm talking about here? Now, Big Game is made a little different. It's monofilament, but it's made a little different. Different chemical properties in it to give it that pound test and that diameter, which is interesting if you think about it. That means per line diameter, Big Game is stronger. But because of the diameter of it, it's not going to be as abrasion resistant as XT, but it's going to be a whole lot more than XL. XL is pretty much made for spinning reels. Okay, now, that means your 12 pound test is the diameter of 8. And your 15 is a diameter of 10. Now, where am I going with this? As far as a straight line, that would be a big game would be a good line for clear water. Because of the line diameter, it's a smaller line diameter. You get a heavier pound test in a smaller diameter. But I'm thinking liter. Bite my tongue. Braid to mono liter. If you got, a lot of you guys like throwing braid and you tie a mono liter on there. Well, now your world just opened up. Because if you use XT, you can now use big game in the same test and get a smaller diameter leader. Be harder for the fish to see. Now here's something interesting too. If you're the kind of guy that uses 6-pound test, let's say on a finesse rig, and if XT, I use XT for everything. I don't care if it's straight on a reel or as a leader. I use big game too, as long as it's green. But interesting part is, if let's say you're using a 15-pound braid. That's what I use, 15-pound braid on a spinning reel. And you want that real thin diameter for clear water, but sometimes you fish in cover. You now have the option to go on a 10-pound test in a big game, and you have the same diameter as your 6-pound. If you don't believe me, get you a micrometer, or unless you already have a micrometer, a little slide digital thing you can measure stuff. Those of you who don't know what a micrometer is. Micrometer. As rednecks call it. That's a micrometer. Do the line diameter test on 6 and 10. 6-pound XT, 10-pound big game, and you tell me if you don't see the same thing. You can even hold 6 and 10 together and just look at them closely, and you can see the difference. You can see the similarity in line diameters. That blows your mind, don't it? I kept thinking, man, why is big game just a little bit easier to cast and everything than XT is? But but the same, no, the diameters are different. They pack more punch in big game for the smaller line diameter, where XT is basically made for abrasion resistance. That's what XT is pretty much made for. It's hard to break XT. It's rare I've ever broken XT. I could probably count on one hand in the last several years of breaking XT. But now you got big game with the same diameter as the lower pound XTs. So now, let's say you're in my position. I fish Lake X, which is crystal clear. It's starting to bloom a little bit because of summertime now, but it's still a clear water lake. And I can now use 15-pound test, like on a worm rig, or the jig, or as a leader, or anything like that, and I have a diameter of 10-pound test. Now, drawback. There's a drawback. If you like throwing bigger topwater baits, such as, let's say, a big prop bait, or possibly a big buzz bait or something like that, that might get in your way. And I'm only saying that because baits like that, the bigger topwater baits and things, you kind of want a thicker line diameter because it won't get caught in that bait as it's moving around. Especially a prop bait, a big prop bait. I ain't talking like a devil's horse or nothing like that, but I'm talking about a big prop bait. The thinner your line is, the more chance it's going to get around that prop. You want that thicker line to stick out in front of that lure. So that's something else to consider too. You might want to keep an extra reel around with 20-pound test or something, big game or something like that. I would imagine 20-pound big game probably the same diameter as 14-pound XT. That would be my guess because, look at the difference in line diameters. So I would say, and it also says it on the pack. If you don't believe me, it says it on the package. Although the 15-pound is wrong, it says average diameter of .014. It's actually .013. But, and I did, test this in different sections of, take about a 5-foot piece of line and test it in different sections. Okay. But it says it on the spool what the line diameter is for XT, for XL, for big game. And this will make you scratch your head and go, dang, I never thought of that. So I just want to run that little piece of advice by you guys about, y'all might want to check into that, because if you fish a lot of clear water, or you wish your line was a little bit more, maybe a little bit more limp, but you want that strength in it, man, that big game that you can easily get at Walmart, if you're a Trilene guy or a Trilene XT kind of guy, and you haven't tried big game, try it. Because let's say you're used to using 6-pound test, throw big game 10, see what happens. You get almost twice the strength of line, but you get the same diameter and the same green color. So the other guys don't get green with envy. So make sure you write all this stuff down now. Replay it again if you missed the numbers. But I'm telling you, when I saw this, I was like, I've got to pass this on to you guys, because it's really, really important. Because if you're concerned about diameter or the size of line that you're throwing, hey man, big game might be your answer, especially if you fish around a lot of cover. I mean, how many of you guys fish rivers and you fish a lot of down trees, a lot of down logs, stuff like that, and you're using 6-pound test and you're breaking off smallmouth? Well, what if you went to 10-pound, which has the same diameter as 6, and the big game, and you're not losing fish anymore? Interesting, isn't it? I don't know. I just thought I'd run that by you guys and give you some information on that. Do experiment yourself. Don't take my word for it. I stand behind my word, but what does that matter? Do experiment yourself. So until next time, remember, new techniques are trendy, but bass never change. May the Father bless you and keep you in Yeshua's name, and as always, fish on.